Welcome back to another episode of The Zone. We have a very special guest here, Mr. Austin Beazer.
The one and only.
Yeah.
Drum roll.
Yeah.
Hey!
One of the greatest hands in the game. Austin, welcome, brother. Appreciate you coming on the Zone today. We had a couple easy questions for you. Get to know you a little bit more, but
Hey, first off, you're great. We love you.
We love your hair.
Wow.
We missed the mustache.
You're here. You actually cut your mustache. Hair's getting a little long. Please take off your hat.
Oh,
Show us.
I don't know if you want to see it.
Turn to the side.
Oh.
Look at that.
That's luscious.
Oh, I would.
Shout out to Mrs. Beazer.
What I would do to have hair like that? I'm just bald Shrek looking. It's terrible. It's great though. But I'm your bald Shrek friend.
That's right. That's right.
Which brings me to my first question. Hey man, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Was that a question, Russo?
No, it's more like bring us back in. Well, I did. I kind of asked how you doing. Beazer, thank you. We're excited to hear from you today. Once we're figuring out how we're gonna get through the first question. Dude, where are you from?
So I'm originally from Utah. Yep, good old Utah boy. And then my family moved to Dallas, Texas.
Huh?
And so
Taylor loves that.
Oh.
Shout out Cowboys.
Oh. Hey, the only question is who's going to play the Cowboys in the Super Bowl? But we'll talk about that later.
Steelers. No. Why not?
if they get a Super Bowl.
So Dallas, tell us a little about Dallas. You there for a little while?
Dude, honestly, not really. I born and raised, grew up in Utah, but I met my wife in Texas. And that's where her family lives and mine now, so we always go back there. They've been there for like 10 years, so.
It's a good
It
spot.
was later in my life. Growing up was Utah, but
Davis County.
Davis County,
There we
baby.
go. That's right.
Davis
Shout out to
High.
Beazer. Shout out.
Davis starts.
Davis started.
There you go. I like it. That's
So,
awesome.
you've been in the door-to-door space for how long now?
It's been about 8 years. Yep.
It's quite a bit of time, right?
Yep.
But tell us how you heard about us and Lumio.
Man, so I heard about Lumio, because everybody knows Kellen. So me and Kellen have always just been doing our door-to-door career forever together. And I was actually at a different solar company. Yep. And they sucked. And Kellen had met up with Judd and came over, and he called me up and was like, "Yo, BZ, this is it, dude. Like, we got to get over here."
Judd's amazing at that.
Yeah.
Huh?
So Kellen was over, and he was just like, you got to come over, man. So I flew out for the Blitz, and
So I met you. We were at, was it Port St. Lucie?
yeah, it was.
Wow.
In that Airbnb.
It's crazy. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
That was like almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Time flies.
It's wild.
Wow, dude. Awesome. Well, thanks for staying, right? Dude, so tell me a little more about, like, that transition obviously was different from leaving the industry you're in to come in this industry. What do you think, like, would be some good advice you give anyone that's starting out in this industry?
Transitioning over or just starting out in general?
Either or. Yeah, both per se.
Okay. Man, I mean, transitioning over, I think that one's pretty simple. Honestly, it's door to door, right? Like, I think in this industry, there's a lot of people where it's like, if you either did alarms before or you did pests before, they always tell you solar's way harder, right?
Always.
Just trying to keep you.
Always.
It's like, oh, solar's way harder. It's a difference. So all this stuff, right? And it was like,
Installs you don't get paid. I mean, you name it. We've heard it all.
yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And that would be one of my biggest things is like, they tell you that obviously for reasons, but it's really, if you're good at door to door sales, you can come and do solar.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Pretty
And
easy
so
transition.
I think that's the biggest, is just like, don't be scared of that transition. Just try it out, right? And anybody starting out, just fresh into door to door, I mean, it would be what I would tell anybody, right? It's just like, you got to freaking learn the material. You got to work hard. You got to put your head down and just grind it out, because it's going to be hard for a little bit, but that's the whole point.
It's like boot camp, It's not so great at the beginning. You fight through it, but at the end you come out different and you're ready to rock,
Yep.
So, good advice, man. Good advice. So, BZ, I know you've been successful. You've been a manager in this game before you even came over. So you had success financially. But now that you're seeing solar success, what kind of advice do you give to some of these young guys and girls starting out and how to invest outside of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's something that we talk about a lot, right? Is like when you start to get solar money, it's a lot of money, right, for a lot of young people. And I think the biggest mistake I always see is like, people come out and it's like, they see success right off the rip,
Mhm.
and so they're making more money than they ever have, or even their families have, right? And they go buy the new car, they buy
Yeah.
the new chains, they buy all the stuff, right? And then it's like, come paycheck, they're broke. And so I think it's good to have a balance. Like, enjoy your life, right?
Yeah.
Like, you earned it. You can go get some stuff, but at the same time, I mean, you definitely have to set up for after this, because you're not going to do door-to-door sales for the rest of your life.
Yeah, what did you always say? You're not gonna die in a Lumio shirt, but this will be able to give you create some wealth for yourself and your downline.
Yeah.
In life. And so it's really cool that we've had financial success in it, and a lot of people listening have. But again, like, this happens a lot. The trend of like, hey, Friday comes and they get the paycheck and the weekend hits, and I know some of you guys are out there just throwing it, which is cool. But also, we talk a lot about personal development, right? And so, give some advice on them what they should invest in.
Yeah. So, I mean, me personally, I just chose real estate.
Mhm.
Right. It was something that I knew. I mean, that would be one of my biggest advices is like, choose something that you know or you're willing to learn about.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a ton of people are going to come to you and just say, hey, give me your money,
Mhm.
invest with me. And it's like, if you don't know it, don't do it. Right.
point.
Or if you're not willing to learn about it. Right. And so for me, it's been real estate. It's like those small little steps. My advice for these guys would be like, save up some money. There's a ton of podcasts out there, a ton of stuff you can do.
Like this one.
Like this one, right? And go buy your first house, right?
Yep.
Go buy your first little duplex. Like, do something with that money that is an easy step for you
Mhm.
to actually grow more wealth.
It's foundation, right? And I think this industry can be a solar coaster, right? Where we have an emotional roller coaster as well, a financial roller coaster. But if you can put stability and give yourself foundation, you'll never run through that.
Yep.
You'll kind of just be like level, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And you've done a great job with that, man. I know your new house is beautiful, and what you've invested in has really helped you for your family going forward.
So kind of tell us your pathway of like getting into door-to-door, how you got into door-to-door, where you started, where you've been, where you're going, kind of like your full runway of like Beazy in the door-to-door world.
Yeah. So I actually never wanted to do it,
Yeah.
right? I was always that guy. You had the friends and everyone. I was
Especially
like,
in Utah,
oh
right?
yeah, I'm never doing door to door, man. Not gonna happen, right? I actually had like a past family member just called me up and was like, yo, just come sit down and go to lunch. Like, we gotta go check it out, right? And so the classic, sat down for lunch, heard them all out, and was like, hey, you know what? Yeah, let's give it a shot, right? I actually did not like this job at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, the first 2 years, actually, I distinctly hated it, actually.
Wow.
It was
Must
like,
be a pest thing, you know?
yeah. Like, my first year, did it, had fun, average success, right? And then second year, that really was like, I distinctly remember there was a time I came home to my wife and I was just like, I'm never doing this again.
I'm over.
I'm done. Like,
What
after
year was
this,
that? Funny.
Here we are 8 years later. Yeah.
That was
Right.
2017.
I think that was like a changing point for me after that summer. I realized, like, especially in this job,
Yeah.
it's mentally taxing, right? And so for me, it was like, if I'm gonna do this, I have to find like value and happiness
Yep.
in my efforts in the job, right? And just like every single day focusing on what I can control.
Yeah.
That's what will bring the joy into it, right? And so then after that, I kind of took off, and just ever since then.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy is I feel like everyone that we talk to everyone always gets to a tipping point of like, hey, I hated it, right? The same thing in my career. It's like, oh, I hated it. And finally, like, once I committed, once I did it, it's like, even talking to Leah, it's like this same path of like, I did it for 2 years. I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well do it.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like the commitment level, and then we start like seeing the rewards from what we're actually putting our time and talents in. It's crazy.
I think everyone has that same story, Taylor, where like they're sitting in the corner of some cul-de-sac that they were in. They're just
Yes.
it's hot, it's raining. They find all these excuses like,
Yeah.
this is my last day, and they start down that tear and that moment of like it's over, and then all of a sudden what happens? Like, you put your head down, you keep working, and then boom,
Yeah.
you fast forward, and here you are, growing your career and your family, and it's been a lot of fun to see that, brother.
That's awesome.
It's been really fun. That's Austin Beazer, everyone.
There's Beazy.
Thank you, Beezy. Appreciate it.